Hello, Watem here, and welcome back to some more Umineko When They Cry. I've got my tea in one hand, which I feel goes really well with the mood of this game, and my mute button with the other, so I can hopefully cut out most of the coughs. In any case, let us continue. Taking advantage of his refusal to leave his room, they supported his isolation, putting his care entirely into the hands of the servants. So, despite what the doctor said, immediately going to the alcohol. No rebuttal there. Genji headed to a corner of the study. There, suspicious-looking bottles boasting venomous colours are on display. Maybe some kind of tonic or something? You're actually liquor, But considering the shady atmosphere of this room, one might easily suspect them of being some ghastly poison. Poison, medicine, two sides of the same coin, right? Inside the study, a mysterious collection of books gathered by Kinzo had drained into a mountain. I mean, in some ways alcohol can be a medicine for alcohol poisoning, to be able to get rid of... Because there's two types of chemical that are alcohol. One of them is exceedingly poisonous, especially in high concentrations. However, your body processes one of them before starting on the poisonous one. So if they start like a process, like basically injecting your stuff to break it down, so that it isn't poisonous, but to keep you going so that you don't start breaking it down yourself, they'll actually just give you a whole bunch of alcohol. Don't try this at home, by the way. But yeah, they'll give you a whole bunch of alcohol so that you keep processing the less poisonous stuff. Yes, inside the study, a mysterious collection of books gathered by Kinzo had drained into a mountain. They were bizarre, ancient, or banned books. Oh. All of them either forbidden, cursed, or sealed. But if you tried to call them old books, Kinzo would fly into a rage and say, "Call them grimoires." There are also many mysterious objects that presumably held some meaning with regards to black magic, like candles suspiciously melted and moulded into strange shapes. The constellations drawn on a certain celestial globe contained quite a few shapes that would draw puzzled looks from anyone familiar with today's night sky. The carelessly strewn about books contained many illustrations, all of them of a religious or mysterious nature, including some depicting demonically grotesque subjects or bizarre diagrams of various magic symbols. I'm kind of hoping that it's somewhere in here there's going to be like a Higurashi reference. And above all, a sweet poisonous smell filled the room, profoundly assaulting the eyes and noses of those who entered for the first time. Eventually, it must surely make a person go numb and lose their grip on reality. Inside that study, Genji prepared Kinzo's usual drink with a well-trained hand. No one would even think of drinking such an ominous dark green liquid in that complex and ornate glass, unless someone first told them it was alcohol. He poured a little into the glass. Then he placed a cube of sugar in a strangely shaped spoon and poured water from a pitcher over it. What drink is this? What? A tiny bit of liquor, an entire cube of sugar, and then water. I mean, sure, you can weaken down like a strong alcohol. Typically, they'll be done with like a juice or something rather than just plain water and just literally watering it down. Strangely, When the transparent water was poured, dark green liquid turned to cloudy white. It was a strange optical illusion, as though the water had caused a chemical reaction and made the drink become even more unrecognizable as liquor. Which it won't be, because liquor will be in water. Anyway, it's already dissolved in water. I'm pretty sure you can't... Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but I think you can't actually get 100% alcohol. You need to have some water to actually dissolve it in. And if you try to get rid of that little bit of water, you'll end up just getting rid of the alcohol as well. And the only way that you'd get no water is if you get rid of all the alcohol as well. Then, Genji added original flavors Kinzo loved, fine-tuning its taste. There was no recipe. Success was measured only by Kinzo's mood swings when he drank it, and it had taken Genji many decades to learn how to do it right. That is an odd drink. Genji placed a glass on a tray and walked over to Kinzo. By this time, Kinzo was gazing out of the window.
どうぞ、親方様。
ああ、すまん。
Kinzo had regained his composure and was now unrecognizable as the shouting, screaming, yelling man from a few moments ago. Looking at this man from behind as he tilted his glass and gazed down at the scenery beyond the window, he projected a sense of dignity and intelligence. To allow Kinzo to set his glass down at any time, Genji motionlessly waited behind Kinzo and to his left, as though he were a living sideboard. Then, without averting his eyes from the window, Kinzo held out his glass. There was only a mouthful remaining. It was not a gesture intended to set it upon a tray, but a motion to hand the glass over to Genji.
飲め、我が友よ。
もったいないお言葉です。
私とお前の中に儀礼はいらぬ。飲め、友よ。
いただきます。
Genji respectfully received the glass and inclined it a little to taste its contents. After that, he gulped it down.
お前が作るのを真似ているのだが、どうにも同じ味が出ぬ。お前が作る方がうまい。
ありがとうございます。親方様のご指導の賜物です。
Kinzo smiled at his loyal subject, who refused to put aside rank even when asked to. However, he was not making fun of him. His smile was relaxed, as though chuckling at a close friend's old unshakable habit.
互いに老いたな。年を数えることも忘れてすでに久しい。
今日まで過ごすことをお許しいただけたのも、すべて親方様のおかげでございます。
Kinzo gave a faint smile, as if to say he didn't need any flattery.
今日まで本当によく私に仕えてくれた。息子たちは誰もが私を変人呼ばわりした。大勢いた使用人も皆私を恐れてやめていった。お前だけが今でも私に仕えてくれる。
もったいないお言葉です。
I feel like that's a bit of disservice to the other servants that are still here. But okay.
私の余命もそう長くはあるまい。息子たちは私の遺産がいつ転がり込んでくるかをうろうろ待つハゲタカばかりだ。
I mean, from what I've heard of Hideyoshi, he isn't exactly a waiting just on his laurels. He's like started his business from scratch and is now president of a medium-sized restaurant chain. Oh well. That's just his kind of perspective on it, I guess.
クラウスの愚か者は金を湯水のように使い、1枚の金貨を売るのに2枚の金貨を捨てておる。それで金を稼げたなどと妄言を。エヴァは金の亡者だ。あやつは私を鶏か何かだと思っておる。死んだらガラにして出汁まで取る気だ。ルドルフの間抜けは女遊びばかり。ローザはどこの馬の骨ともわからん男の赤ん坊など産みおって、ジェシカは無能で無学だ。ジョージには男としての器がない。
Wow.
バトラーは後宮家の栄誉を自ら捨ておった愚か者だ。マリアなど見るのも汚らわしい。
What?
なぜだ、なぜに後宮の血はこうも無能なのか。私の築き上げた栄光を受け継ぐにふさわしい者はおらんのか。
Self-aggrandizing so and so much?
ああ、分かっておるとも。これがベアトリーチェの呪いであることも分かっておる。黄金の魔女め、それが私への復讐のつもりか。憎みたくば憎むがよい。逃げたければ逃げるがよい。逃がさぬ、逃がさぬ、逃がさぬ、逃がさぬわ。お前は私のものだ。常に私の腕の中でなくてはならん。私の生涯のすべてなのだ。
Controlling much?
我が鳥かごにて永遠に私だけにささやき続けるのだ。
Really controlling much?
ベアトリーチェ、なぜに微笑み返してはくれぬ。
Poor whoever had to marry this guy. Possessively pining over someone else.
ベアトリーチェ。
After howling, Kinzo choked once again. Genji sipped the cherry and glass down and rubbed his master's back. Genji's facial expression did not change. It was always like this.
すまぬ我が友よ。
When his seemingly deranged fit subsided, Kinzo regained his composure once again. It was like seeing two different people, a wild Kinzo and a composed Kinzo, living together inside one body.
故に私は決心した。このままぼやききった余生を怠慢に過ごすことなどもはや耐えられはせん。この身に最後にとするコインがあるならば、それを悪魔たちのルーレットに託してみたい。魔法の力はいつもかけるリスクで決まる。日本古来の呪術である牛の国参りがそうであろう。7日間儀式を目撃されてはならないというリスクを支払うからこそ魔力が宿る。
What? What is that sentence even?
困難なリスクが生じれば生じるほどに魔力は強く生じるのだ。神話に登場する数々の奇跡は天文学的リスクに奇跡的な低確率を得て成就した驚愕すべき魔力の結晶なのだと言える。 モーゼが海を割ったのは神の奇跡ではない。蹂躙の計りに乗せられ、軍勢によって航海に追い詰められた絶体絶命のリスクが奇跡の魔力を生んだのだ。同じことが同じ規模で繰り返されようとも、再び海が割れることはないだろう。なぜならモーゼは力ある者たちのルーレットの阿葬儀ナユタをかけたよりも多く存在する目の中に一つだけ刻まれた奇跡を見事引き寄せることができたからだ。その天文学的確率に勝利できる力、そう奇跡をつかみ取る運気はすなわち魔力なのだ。強大な魔力を得るためには絶望的なリスクを背負わねばならぬ。魔力持たぬ者はそれを賭けでなく自暴自棄と呼ぼう。しかし真に魔力ある者はその奇跡をつかみ取り神秘を成就させるのだ。もしも私にその魔力があるならば、私はその奇跡をつかみ取るだろう。生涯を費やした願いを実現できるだろう。
Kinzo looked up to the sky outside the window. He spread his arms as if appealing to someone up in the skies.
もし私にその奇跡を手にする資格があったなら、おーベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ、お前の愛くるしい笑顔をもう一度だけ見せてくれ。どれほどの月日を経ようともお前の面影が消えることはない。ただお前の美少が見たい、それだけだ。お前から授かったものを全て返そう。あの日からの栄光を全てお前に返そう。富も名誉も黄金もいらぬ。お前に授かった全てを返そう。私はただお前の美少が見たいだけなのだ。五章だベアトリーチェ。
His nonsensical yells became a scream, and then a wail. Kinzo slumped to the floor, tearing at it with both hands. Genji had no choice but to wordlessly watch over his master's lamentations.
Ya諸君、当主様は具合が優れられないとのことだ。せっかくこうして1年ぶりの会合に集まってくれた諸君と昼食を共にできないことを非常に残念にしておられた。
Yes, those are definitely his words, yes.
ゴーダ、ランチを始めてくれ。
かしこまりました。それでは本日の昼食を始めさせていただきます。
Alright, Genji. Do we have, Nope, still don't have Krauser.
南條先生、そんなにお父様のお具合は悪いの？せめて顔くらい見せてくれてもいいわよね。
体調というよりは機嫌ですな。
Yeah, actually, no.
こればかりはつける薬がありませんので。
Actually, so for this, I think it's either going to be Beatrice or Genji. That's my guess, at least. Someone close to Kinzo, but not directly tied to him. And oops. And we already have Genji down here. I meant Nanjo for the person up on the top. Anyway, continuing on.
おいおい、機嫌ってまたかよ。そりゃないぜ。こちとら、秋のクソ忙しい時期にスケジュール都合して、ご機嫌伺いに来てるんだ。それをよ。
よかったじゃないか、ルドルフ。ご機嫌は伺えたんだ。それとも、不機嫌な親父殿を私に代わり、お前が説得して連れてきてくれるのかね？
How quickly you've changed your tune from what was it? He seemed extremely sad to would you rather take him a place and persuade him to come join us?
まさか。
Rudolph shrugged. Apparently, though Rudolph was willing to be indignant at how self-centered his father was, he wasn't particularly disappointed to be spared a face-to-face meeting.
夕食までにはその機嫌治りそうなの？クラウス兄さん。
そんなことは知らんよ。親父殿に直接聞いてみるといい。もっとも、声をかけない方が機嫌の治りは早いと思うがね。
源氏さんだけだよ。じい様の機嫌を直せるのは。情けないぜ。自分の親の機嫌を使用人に直させるんだからよ。
ジェシカ、余計なことは言わなくていい。
Really in a rebellious phase, isn't she? She planned for a complaint to be heard only by her cousins. Oh, but it had reached even Kraus's ears. Scolded, Jessica scowled and turned away, sulking.
機嫌がうんぬんってことは、病状はそんな悪くないんじゃねえの？元気がないってんならともかく、機嫌が悪いってのは少なくとも気はしっかりしてる証拠だぜ。
You can be energetic without having your wits about you.
おじい様は特に強い気力をお持ちだからね。でも体が必ずしもそれに伴えるとは限らないよ。去年からずっと余命3ヶ月って言われ続けてる。
It's like all those other things. I'm just thinking of how. First thing that came to my mind with that is how fusion is always 20 years away, and it has been 20 years away for the past 60 years or something.
最初の診断が正しいなら、おじい様は気力だけで流られてるってことになる。気遣ってあげないといけないよ。
Lunch started with the family head's seat still empty. The man who should be sitting there had already grown old, and the brilliant glory which had rebuilt the Yushiromiya family in the span of a single lifetime was being forgotten. Even though they were beginning the meal with that seat still empty, no one felt as it was that odd anymore. Oh, okay. I thought the music ended rather abruptly. Moving forward to 1:30. Do I need to click? No? Okay. The Ishiromiya Family Conference was held once every year on the first weekend of October. If a normal family were to hold a so-called family conference, you'd expect it to be nothing more than a reunion of rarely seen relatives who greet each other around buckets of sushi or something. However, part of the family's great fortune had been lent out to grandfather's children, and no one in this family was considered an adult until they had met with success in business. So this meeting literally was a conference. How much of a fortune was invested? What sort of business was conducted? How much profit was earned? As a result, how much of a fortune borrowed from the main family could be repaid? Or possibly, how much more would be borrowed for future business ventures? What lessons had they learned, and what could they learn from their mistakes? It seems that topics like these were discussed very seriously in the past. My dad said it was like lying on a bed of nails. Apparently it used to be a very serious family meeting, where people were bathed in scornful and angry voices, and some people even got slapped despite their age. However, that had become a thing of the past. Now, with everyone pursuing their own business ventures and achieving success, it was becoming more of a normal yearly get-together. Even so, telling grandfather about recent events was extremely stressful. So while it was nothing more than a simple get-together for us grandchildren, it was still a real stomachache for our parents. The absence of a man who was the source of all of this trouble, regardless of the reason, probably made today's lunch taste much more delicious. The phrase, "while the demon is not around, everyone can relax," comes to mind. Anyway, let's introduce Jessica's father, whose face I haven't seen for 6 years. We're finally getting to that point. The man sitting to my father's left is his older brother, and Jessica's father, Uncle... This name sure is easy to read. Sure. Kraus. Now that we've gotten used to this string of weird names, our perspective is totally skewed. So Kraus doesn't actually seem that bad. It even starts to sound kinda cool. Just like with Aunt Natsuhi, I don't have many memories of speaking with Uncle Kraus. He had never been one to chat to children, and I felt like he was always talking with the adults, just like Aunt Natsuhi. According to my father's gossip, he was a spiteful and violent man. If what he said is true, Uncle Kraus used to be very domineering from his position as the oldest sibling, and was despised by all the other siblings. Although, despite that, those siblings all seemed to be chatting happily together. Oh well, even if their relationship was bad when they were children, sometimes when people grow up and live apart from each other, their relationships change. That's probably what this was. After all, they all had children of about the same age. By sharing the same family environment, they probably profited by exchanging opinions. Maybe because of that, a short while ago, a circle of parents began to discuss the exams Jessica and I would be taking. Jessica, in order to escape questions about exams from my father on her left, purposefully faced right while firing off a rapid series of comments, not giving him any chance to get a word in. Moving on, let's look at the end opposite from Kraus and the others. In the very last seat at the table, an old gentleman with sturdy physique sat facing Kirie-san. This was my first time meeting him. I had only just been introduced to him, but it seems he's grandfather's personal doctor, a man called Nancho. I heard he used to own a huge clinic on the nearby island of Nijima, but he turned it over to his son and began living a life of leisure in his old age. He had known grandfather since the very beginning, when the mansion was first constructed on this island, and had built up a relationship over several decades. At first, I thought that the two of them might have gotten to know each other through grandfather's suspicious hobbies, but it seems he was actually grandfather's chess partner. I see. That kind of hobby seems very like our grandfather. What with his love of all things Western. Nanjo was probably the only person who could enter Rokkenjima despite being neither a family member nor a servant. He looked like a calm old gentleman as he listened to the discussion between Kirie and the other woman who sat near him. Considering how long he stayed by the side of our short-tempered grandfather, his generous heart was probably nothing to laugh at. Still, even if he was the family doctor, having anyone outside the Ishiromiya family attend the family conference was a little odd. It made me think that grandfather's condition might have worsened so much it would be a major topic of discussion at today's conference. After all, George said something like that just a second ago. Something about how we'd been getting continuous reports since around last year that grandfather didn't have long to live. It's nice to think about it, but consider how rich grandfather is. At the time of his death, his wealth will suddenly be released, probably along with a fair share of our parents' stomach acid, and it will lead to ulcers for everyone. After all, this sort of thing just gets messier when there's more wealth to be divided. There's a good chance we'll be talking about stuff like that at the family conference. Still, it's not like it's got anything to do with us kids. Finally, even though he hasn't shown up, Let me introduce our grandfather. The person who should be sitting in that incipient's chair is Ishiramiya Kinzo. It really sucks. Everyone else in the family has these weird names, but he's got this perfectly normal one himself. If only his name was written Kinzo, but he let us call him Goldsmith or something. I'd totally freak out. As you can probably guess by now, he's a frightening person with an extremely short temper. I'm one of his grandchildren, not his son, and I haven't seen him since elementary school. Thanks to that, I have no memory of being beaten myself, but our parents were apparently raised with an iron fist. That earlier conversation between my dad and Uncle Kraus about who should go convince grandfather to come down. It seems pretty darn funny once you know their background. So since they're going to start talking about a pivotal event back before the Showa era, I'm going to end it here. Let's first of all see, do we have all? Yes, we do have all the people now. Kraus is Kinzo's first child, is the oldest of the 4 siblings. He lead the family conference. Guessing that should be an S. However, the other siblings think he's trying to get all the inheritance for himself. This further strains the tensions between them. Oh no, he's a real estate investor and just put a lot of money into the development of a resort. However, his results have been harshly criticized. As you said, putting 2 gold coins in and getting 1 out and calling it a success. Attending physician Nanjo. Kinzo's attending physician and longtime friend. He once ran a hospital in the Ichimo, but he turned it over to his son and now enjoys his old age in peace. Now that Kinzo's constant suspicion has reached extraordinary heights, Nanjo is one of the very few people he trusts. Thanks to Nanjo's big-hearted nature, he has been able to continue his friendship with Kinzo, despite the latter's tendency to fly into a rage at the slightest provocation. Okay then. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me know any feedback you have in the comments. And until next time, when I'll probably be using the other version, see ya.